students may not know how to read their own language yet that well. So it's different. Syllabus. The story listening syllabus is not restricted by grammar or by the pre-packaged high-frequency words. Story listening has natural syllabus according to the student's language developmental stages levels. The teacher selects a story that she thinks that the students will enjoy listening to. Teacher prepares a prompter according to the needs of the groups of the students. Teacher tells a story using the known words and the unknown words from the text so that everyone will understand the story.
How do you determine what words go on the prompter?
Good question.
And we'll delve into that, right? I believe we'll have time after lunch to go a little...
Good question.
And actually write our own
For the beginning level students, like I'm teaching junior high kids, almost all the content word goes on the list. The reason is because I need to understand the storyline. Therefore, many note words go on the list. But at the same time, I don't know what they know. Okay, I've got 30. If I have 50 students, I don't know what words they know already, and therefore, I think these words must be known words. But for some students, it may not be known words. Therefore, I put almost every content word on the list of the story prompter. Is that okay? Okay, that's good. So the teacher brings in longer and more complicated stories gradually so that the students will be able to develop their listening stamina while developing general language skills through auditory input. As the teacher uses everyday conversational language, students will acquire them naturally. It is not a read aloud, therefore I'm not using the written language, I'm using a conversational language to tell a story. It is advised that story listening be done in every lesson so that the students will be able to receive abundant, rich auditory input in class. Because we do not ask students to do much outside of the class except reading, and therefore at the beginning, when the students cannot read books, they are not doing anything like that. And so we want to give as much input as possible in the classroom. The story listening syllabus is a collection of stories at different levels, and the sequence of bringing which story is dependent on different groups of the students. Every year, the sequence of the story is different. The choice of the story is also different according to the different group of students. We cannot make a textbook for story listening. Teacher gathers stories for his or her own students' maturity, interests, and language proficiency levels. For every class, the list of the words for the prompter may be slightly different for the same level of students and largely different for different levels. Okay? But if you have collected, I'm sure Megan has collected a lot of stories already, and when you have like 300 stories, and then you don't have to do much anymore afterwards. Okay, you can always adjust some here and there, and then as long as you teach the same level of the students at the same school, I don't think you need to do much anymore after you have the collection of stories. Syllabus 4. Okay, buying a set of picture books recommended by other teachers or publishers and using someone else's collection of the stories may be helpful at first, but it may not work for a long time. Reading and selecting stories and making a prompter for the lesson are interesting and enjoyable part of lesson preparation for teachers. Lessons are customized for the group of the students. When a teacher uses a story that someone else chose and uses a prompter that someone else made for his or her students, the lesson may not fit both the teacher and his or her students. So it's better that you make your own. And that's the reason, I wanted to say this, okay. Once the teacher creates his or her own collection of the stories, favorite stories, the workload will be largely reduced from the following year. As long as you teach at the same school and the same type of students are coming in every year, then, okay. Students develop listening skills quickly. It is while they increase their vocabulary size. they are guided to become a reader using graded readers. In my case, they are graded readers. I was surprised when Megan gave this story today to little children, and if they understand this, that is wonderful. And it lasted more than like 10 or 15 minutes to tell a story. And if the little children sit there and watch the teacher tell the story and they understand it, that's what I think it's like a miracle to me. Okay, then it is more pleasant. What's the teacher? Then it is more pleasant for both teachers and students. Teacher enjoys telling a story, and the students enjoy hearing a story. Then at this stage, it may become more like an entertainment, while students are being exposed to higher level vocabulary. And I don't know what happened. I'm talking about the advanced students, like my senior students, senior citizen students. They come into my class to listen to, just enjoy they come to my class to enjoy listening to stories. Okay. Evaluation. They are at different language, okay, the students are at different language developmental stages, even when they started at the same age, even when they are separated into a same proficiency level group after being given a placement test. Their L2 abilities are not the same. Their vocabulary size is different in quantities, and the kind of words that they know are different. Even when they were taught with similar textbooks and studied for the tests that are given regularly. So everybody is different. So how are we going to evaluate them? Evaluation. Students develop at their own pace even when in the same class. They acquire different words even when they hear a same story. Therefore, giving them a vocabulary test on today's new words does not reveal about their progress. Those specific words that the teacher teach in a lesson might not be the very words that some students are ready to acquire. The gains between the pretest and the post-test on new words by individual student do not reveal the information, how much they learned. Okay, everybody? Understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, good, I'm glad. Okay, therefore, giving them a vocabulary test on today's new words does not reveal about their progress. Okay about this? Those specific words that the teacher teach in a lesson might not be the very words that some students were ready to acquire. The gain, did I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, I'm sorry. Danger of giving them a test. Because the obtained scores do not reflect on the actual unseen internal progress, the gain between the pretest and post-test on the day's vocabulary for each student may lead to a misinterpretation of individual students' vocabulary development. There is a potential danger to draw the false conclusion that those who have the most gained scores are the ones who are intelligent and fast learners or obedient and paying attention. There is a danger for teachers to judge and misunderstand that some other students are slow, unmotivated, lazy, and disobedient. Yeah, okay? Yes. But the test scores can be used to evaluate the lesson, evaluate mean. The mean and standard deviation scores can give valuable information to the teacher. The obtained scores can evaluate the effectiveness of the teacher's SL lesson, whether the story was interesting or too difficult, whether most of the students understood or there is a wide variety of understanding among the students from looking at the value of standard deviation. The teacher can reflect on the lesson and adjust the next lesson according to the noticeable failure of his or her lesson that day. Okay?
So how would you convey to students, I think I know how you do it, that you just want to know if they understood the word? There's no test, no grade, no pressure for them.
I don't do this. You don't have to. You don't do this every time. But like once in a month or so, you do that. Or when you want to know if you're going to do a good lesson, or randomly you can do this kind of thing to find out how much gain do they gain. Do they have from listening to a story, or how well I did with the story.
What would the test look like? Would it be
Test
formal,
will be-
informal?
okay. No, test will be just a translation test. It's not a multiple choice test, but it's a translation test. And I talked to Professor Nation a few years ago at the ETA in Taiwan, and he told me he no longer thinks that his test, vocabulary level test is good. He thinks that the translation test is better, and when it is better when it was graded using the not acceptable with acceptable word scoring, not exact word scoring.
So Dr. Mason, just to clarify, is it translation from the language you're teaching to their
English.
first language?
First language, yes. They are not asked to write the word in the foreign language.
And then you are evaluating according to a scale that has already been predetermined.
Yeah, like the acceptable language, not exact, right? Like that you score via acceptable language according to, but like how do you determine what's acceptable? I guess that's the question,
for example,
right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
For example, if there was a word beautiful in English and the students wrote cute in Japanese, that's acceptable.
But if they wrote ugly,
No.
it's not even
It's
close to me.
Right. Okay, did I do everything here?
Okay, so, thank you, yes.
Reflect. Okay. So when you have the bad result, you reflect on the lesson, and then you think about, did I use too many new words today? Okay, that happens a lot because I get so ambitious and I start using lots of unknown words. Unpredictable of the story. Was the story unpredictable? Too many characters in the story? Not enough explanation from one scene to the next? Sometimes I forget. Did the teacher forget to tell something that was the key to the conclusion? Was the story too culturally different? For example, there are many stories in Grimm's fairy tales that they talk about baptism. And it's our students don't know anything about baptism. Why do you need water? Type of thing. So evaluation. You can do different ways of doing evaluation. Summary writing, vocabulary tests, cloze tests, standardized tests, questionnaire, observation, interview. And I could tell you, I don't tell you is not a very good word. I could introduce to you how you can make all these tests, but today I don't think we have time. When we have time, what I would like to do is I'd like teachers to start making standardized tests for your students. And like Claire has made a standardized test for vocabulary in French for the first 1,000 word, for the first 1,000 word. And I think we could probably share it. I have a cloze test in English, which I can share for free. And I could, serious?
Yeah,
Oh.
free, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
we like free.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I think my cloze test in English, this is quite reliable. I've done the test reliability using the students about the same level students in 2 weeks apart, and the reliability level was 0.87. And so it is acceptable value as a reliable test. And so I could do that, and I could explain when you can use this test and what the test scores mean and stuff like that. I could go through all these things, but I would like to take one more day to talk about this. So next time if I come to Cincinnati, we'll have a 3-day workshop.
And we have lunch.
Okay, one quick question. Can you clarify what you mean by observation as a form of evaluation?
Observation. There are different ways to observe. When you do story, you are looking at the students' faces when you're telling the story, and then usually when you have let's see, I used to have about 15 to 25 students, and usually those almost everybody has good faces. Okay, they understand it. Yeah. But then there are always a few students who sit in the back, although I do not have the students sit in the back. I require my students to sit from the first row to the fourth. if they sit in the fifth row, then they are not considered to be present. And so they gotta sit from first, they have to sit close. And then the Megan was very good. I really liked what she did. I used to work on a place called International Buddhist University, in which is the Buddhist university, and so they required students to do meditation. So in every class, I had my students do meditation for 1 to 3 minutes. And when they are doing meditation, I lock the doors so nobody can come in late to disturb. That would separate outside and inside. And then while Megan was very good, when they are meditating, what I do is I pray. I pray and say, I'm not actually not a religious person, but I used to go to a Christian church, and I was employed at the Buddhist University, and we always went to the Buddhist. Every week we went to the Buddhist service, and we know how to do meditation and stuff like that. But when they are meditating, I pray. And who do I pray? I don't know who am I praying, but what I say to myself is, please help me, so that I'll be able to make myself so comprehensible that everybody, when they leave this room, they'll be happy with the experience that they had in the classroom. And I just pray it. I just say it to myself. And like she did, I do deep breathing. I do lots of deep breathing. And I get ready. I separate myself from something to a story listening mode. And then I say thank you to the kids, and the kids open up their eyes and they say, okay, are you guys ready? And they go, yes. And so, okay. Once upon a time, that's how it goes. Okay, so I observe the kids. I look at the kids, and then when they are not looking like they were understanding, that's the observation. And also, when you do a reading, I have a reading notebook, and I look at the notebook and I observe I do the interview and I observe the students' reading activity. Is that okay? Yeah, okay. Teacher-made tests are better, okay? We buy tests and we publish tests and we buy tests and we have students go and take tests, but they are very expensive. We can make really good teacher-made tests and we can share it, and so that we can have lots and lots of data, so that we can show people how valuable and how valid and reliable these tests are too. Valid and reliable tests can be made by teachers and they could be shared. It does not cost any money when teacher makes it. Taking a standard test is expensive. Okay? In Japan, there is a test called TOEFL test. No, it's not in Japan, but all over the world. And then Japanese people take this TOEFL test, but it costs $235. And if they are late for the registration, they have to pay $275. And if they are something else, they add $60 more. So it is very expensive. Who are our students? Okay, there are lots of different kinds of students. Okay. The members of the United Nations, 193 countries, Japan's included. English fever in Asia. Japanese people, Korean people, Taiwanese people, they all want to learn English. Child poverty is 14% in Japan. The family who lives under 1.2 million yen, $12,000 a year, is a poverty level. Out of 30 kids in class, there is a good chance there are 4 to 5 children who are poor. But we pay attention to the top 4 to 5 kids who are advantaged. They go to an expensive private school and attend expensive cram schools. The kids in the middle struggle. The bottom 4 to 5 kids are ignored and forgotten. I do not want to have this happen. I would like to have the kids who are 2 standard